Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Our program will begin in a few minutes. Please find your seats. Once again, our program will begin in a few minutes. Please find your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Our program will begin in a few minutes. Please take your seats. Once again, our program will begin in a few minutes. Please take your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Our program is about to begin. Please take your seats. Once again, our program is about to begin. Please take your seats. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Randy Woodson. I'm the Chancellor at NC State. We're thrilled to have you on our campus and in our student union. I said when we were organizing this event, if we held it at around 7:30, it would be okay because students are nocturnal creatures. This place is buzzing at 9 at night, but not so much at 8 in the morning. So we're thrilled to have you here. NC State is one of 17 campuses in the UNC system, the best system of higher education in the country, without a doubt. And we enroll over 220,000 students, but we are not everything for higher education in the state of North Carolina. This is a great system across our state and something we're very proud at NC State to be part of. You know, every organization needs a goal to set and a goal to meet. It's been said that you accomplish what you can measure, and if you can measure it at NC State, we measure it. And we set, when I came in here as chancellor almost 9 years ago, we set our strategic goals through a strategic planning process that has guided my administrative team and our board ever since I've arrived here. And that's what we're doing here today. We've had clear direction as a university, we've had clear direction as a system, and today we embark on clear direction for education in the state of North Carolina. Today, we're here to mark the start of a comprehensive education strategy for North Carolina. The myFutureNC Commission was created a year ago to convene North Carolina's thought leaders in education, business, and beyond from every corner of our great state to set an attainment goal for education for all North Carolinians. If you serve on myFutureNC Commission, because this has been a team effort, would you please stand and let us recognize you? The commission members, please. Today, we will chart a path forward for North Carolina. This is a charge bigger than any one institution, but we are excited to be part of this vision. North Carolina State University's Vice Chancellor Kevin Howell, known to most of you in this room, has been on the steering committee of myFutureNC committee, and we're very grateful to Kevin for his leadership on this commission. Now I have the great honor of welcoming the commission's co-chair, Dale Jenkins, to the stage. Dale is one of 3 co-chairs for myFutureNC Commission. Dale is Chief Executive Officer of Medical Mutual Holdings, serves as the chairman of the board for the University of North Carolina Healthcare System and Capital Associated Industries. He is the immediate past chair of North Carolina's Chamber. Dale, we look forward to hearing from you about the work of the commission.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Chancellor Woodson, for those kind remarks. And we really appreciate your hosting this event today. This is a beautiful campus. You know, everywhere I travel across the country, I talk about NC State and the value that NC State brings to the citizens of our great state. It is a gem. It's an economic engine and an economic driver, and we're fortunate to have you as our leader. So thank you for what you do. You know, it's no accident that we chose NC State as the host of the event today. Few institutions can rival what State does in their commitment to delivering student-centered degree and certificate programs. They serve North Carolinians from all across our state, all different backgrounds, and they help those individuals change their lives, change careers, strengthen economic stability, and certainly expand their earning potential. Some of the important programs that they have here include the NC State Extension Program, the online offerings that they've created, the community college collaboration, and partnerships with industries that they've adopted, and finally, the Biomanufacturing Training and Education Center. And as Chancellor Woodson said, we're incredibly proud to have Vice Chancellor Kevin Howell as part of our myFutureNC Steering Commission, so thank you for allowing him to participate. Now, earlier, Chancellor Woodson, he recognized the commissioners from myFutureNC. I want to take just a minute and recognize some other folks who were instrumental in the work that we've done over the past 12 months, and that are our 12 subject matter experts. They lent their wisdom, their experience, and their expertise to the commission. If you're one of the 12 subject matter experts, would you please stand and let us recognize you? I'd also like to thank Christy Teskey and Matthew Chamberlain. They have worked tireless over the last 12 months as we crisscrossed North Carolina. We hosted listening sessions that were critical to the identification and challenges our great state faces, and they also helped us develop our unifying goal. Christy, Matthew, thank you so much for what you've done. You know, a wise man once told me that romance without finance ain't got no chance, okay? And so it takes money to make something like this happen, and we were fortunate to have some generous funders. And those funders included the John M. Belk Endowment, the Goodnight Foundation, the Lumina Foundation, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I can tell you that they gave us encouragement and support, and without their efforts, none of this would have been possible. And finally, I'd like to thank my co-host, our co-chairs of the committee, and that's Andrea Smith. Andrea's with Bank of America, and she is deeply disappointed that she can't be here today, and so am I, so she could share some of this work. But she would like to be here, but she sends her regards. And finally, Peter Hines. Peter is, as many of you know, president of the community college system and a great friend, and he has stepped in as a co-chair as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't say a special thank you to Margaret Spellings. Margaret was sort of an instigator and helped us form the commission back about a year ago, and so we owe her a debt of gratitude as well. So ladies and gentlemen, I think today we find ourselves at a crossroads. If we want to expand economic opportunity for North Carolinians, and we want to build a more prosperous future for our state, we must dramatically increase educational attainment. The data are stark. Today, fewer than half, remember that, fewer than half of North Carolinians between the ages of 25 and 44 hold a high-quality post-secondary degree or credential. But the vast majority, as you all know, the vast majority of newly created jobs, that requires education beyond a high school diploma. In fact, a recent national survey indicated that over 99% of jobs created since the 2009 recession, they require a post-secondary credential or certificate. Let me be clear here. We're not just talking about increasing the production of four-year degrees. That's important for sure, but there are many excellent jobs available in our state that require an associate's degree or a high-quality certificate. The key is simply not stopping your education when you graduate from high school. Now, I grew up in a rural town called Forest City, Rutherford County. And, you know, in the 60s and 70s when I was growing up, there probably were 50 or 60 textile mills that dotted the landscape in that town. Today, there are none. And so it's clear, all of you have witnessed over the last 30 years, we've seen the significant decline in blue-collar jobs. And we've seen an unprecedented increase in service jobs, most of which require a post-secondary credential of some kind. Our talent supply is simply not keeping pace with these changes. And last year, as I talked to my colleagues across North Carolina in the business community, they continually cited the lack of technical skills and education among applicants as primary reasons why they struggle to fill open jobs. And importantly, our educational opportunities are not equitably distributed across the state. Students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds, they do not earn the same level of degrees with students who have economic stability in their lives. This troubling mismatch of talent and supply and the demands that are created by the inequality of the educational opportunities across our state, this is nothing short of a crisis. If we do nothing and we remain on the current trajectory that we've established with our educational attainment objectives, the gaps are going to still persist. We'll have over 400,000 North Carolinians that will fall further behind. Quite frankly, this is not acceptable. Now, over the last year, our myFutureNC, we went across the state, as I said earlier. We held listening sessions. We talked with leaders from education, from government, business, the faith community, and we learned more about the challenges each of our communities are facing. We asked thousands of North Carolinians about their perceptions of education and its value. As you know, there are many bright spots. We've got some great things going on in North Carolina. I was encouraged as I traveled, particularly into some of our community colleges, and found out some things that were happening there. But we also have some incredibly troubling signs as well. One of the most significant problems that emerged over and over, is the lack of alignment and coordination between education and business. And there's also a lack of coordination, unfortunately, within the education continuum itself. You know, some colleges reported that as many as 80% of the students that they receive are not prepared for college-level coursework. Half employers report that graduates are not prepared for success in the workplace. We're doing our students an enormous disservice if they graduate with a degree or certificate that hasn't equipped them to be productive in life. We also heard that North Carolinians don't fully appreciate the value and the economic imperative of advancing their education. That, my friends, is simply a marketing and communication problem. Communicating that value of that education is imperative if we're going to be successful going forward. So I want to take a minute and give you a visual here to represent some problems that we have as well as some opportunities that we have. This is a project that was called the Leaky Pipeline. It was commissioned by Dr. Rebecca Tippett. She's with Carolina Demography, and it was also funded by the John M. Belk Endowment in Charlotte. And their project is called the Leaky Education Pipeline. So this is a little bit of a math quiz here, so bear with me, okay? It's early in the morning. There's 100 students that are entering the 9th grade, okay? You with me? 100 students going into the 9th grade. Our challenge this morning is to see how many of them go through their education process and what happens to them based on current education trends. So right out of the bat, 13% of these folks, they won't graduate from high school, all right? Then an additional 15%, they'll graduate from high school, but they don't intend to go beyond that. They don't intend to enroll in a post-secondary institution. So if you've done the math with me, we're about 72 people. So 72% of ninth graders, they graduated from high school, and they do intend to go on to a college or a university. Now, if those folks, in fact, did that and they completed a degree or received a high-quality credential, we would be number one in the country in terms of education attainment. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Even though all these folks had good intentions, they wanted to go and enroll in a post-secondary institution, the data shows that 19% will not do that immediately. That represents an immediate opportunity and an important opportunity for us, because these are people who want to further their education, but they haven't successfully matriculated at this point. Now, unfortunately, another 12% who enroll in college, they don't return for a second year. And finally, another 11% of students who return for the second year, they don't get a 2 or 4 year degree within 6 years of graduating from high school. So, you follow all that math down the way, that leaves us with about 70% of students, or 30% of students who enter the ninth grade that will graduate from high school and complete a 2 year or 4 year degree in the next 6 years. 30 out of 100. Now, is that acceptable to you? That doesn't seem reasonable to me. That's not enough. It's way too low given how fast the job market is changing. Now, some of those 70%, they'll go back and they'll earn a degree later, and we applaud them for that. But the leaky pipeline, as you see here, is part of the problem. But as I said, it really represents a tremendous economic opportunity for us, an enormous education opportunity, because, North Carolinians, they report that they have a desire to attain a level of education that is beyond high school. 39%, in fact, say they haven't attained the educational level that they hope to attain. So what do? Well, we've identified a number of obstacles to education attainment. We must empower that 39% I just referenced to overcome those obstacles and achieve their education potential. We must help all North Carolinians understand and internalize the life-changing power of education. And finally, we've got to bring leaders from education, workforce, business, government, all come together to better align systems and better prepare North Carolinians for successful lives and careers. So I want to move on to our goal, which is the most important thing we wanted to accomplish today. We wanted to share this goal with you. If we are to be successful, we've got to have one goal, a goal that transcends our state, it crosses all industries, and it crosses all regions. I was surprised to learn that we're only one of 9 states in the country that doesn't have an attainment goal. We're going to change that today. So as I mentioned earlier, today only 49% of people between 25 and 44 years old, that's who has a 2 or 4 year degree today. That represents about 1.3 million adults. Now, after working hard throughout the year, consulting with appropriate experts in demography and economic issues and education, we as leaders across the state have determined that we want to compete in the 21st century, and we want to significantly increase the number of adults with a post-secondary credential or degree. So here's the punchline. With me, here's the goal. By the year 2030, we will help equip 2 million 25 to 44-year-old adults with a high-quality post-secondary degree or credential. 2 million North Carolinians educated by 2030 with a high-quality post-secondary degree or credential. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. It's a bold vision for our state, and it will ensure, though, that our citizens are prepared to succeed and our communities are prepared to thrive. This goal represents one of the highest attainment goals in the South, and it puts us on par with the highest achieving states in the country. So, finally, how do we get there? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. You're going to hear from people in business, education, government, leaders who are committed, all committed to make this goal a reality. But we can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. It's going to take a team. It's going to take a collective effort of all of us working together. It's going to depend on leadership at the state level and the local level. We've got to have business leaders, parents, educators, community leaders, all working together so that we can make the commitment to make this goal a reality. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce to you the next speaker. He's truly a visionary education leader for our community college system. He's a longtime friend. Please welcome Peter Hans to the stage.
Good morning. Thank you, Dale. It is a privilege to serve with you and Andrea as a co-chair of this important effort. Much has been accomplished, but the work has just begun. We're seeing new ideas and collaboration, aligning the educational sectors, scaling what works and setting aside what doesn't. By eliminating systemic barriers to achievement and attainment, preparing students for work and life, providing options for ongoing expansion of skills. Because there are many job openings, we need more people with updated skills to fill those opportunities. We're working to help all North Carolinians realize their full potential. Next year will be critical as we spread our shared vision and what it means to people's lives, and give each community across the state the power to embrace this goal and make it a reality. Now, I can share a short story about why I support this goal personally. It relates to a young lady I met recently at South Piedmont Community College named Raven Spencer. She had a family at a young age, few job prospects. Some were quick to write her off. But with some encouragement, with some support, she enrolled at community college, and she's thriving today. Raising her family, working full-time, carrying a full course load, and a leader in student government, somehow balancing it all. Now, her story is North Carolina's. Humble beginnings, faith, hard work, creativity. That's how we achieve this goal. Now, there may be some who say we won't make it. I beg to differ. There's nothing we can't accomplish together if we set our minds to it. That's the North Carolina I know and love. And I couldn't be more proud to stand with you all today. Your 58 community colleges at 180 locations across the state serve 700,000 students every year in, year out, 700,000. We're committed, like Jeff Cox, president of Wilkes Community College, we're committed to this. We raise up those who have been left behind. We build bridges to high school students and adult learners as well. We provide an affordable path to 2-year and 4-year degrees and offer high-quality workforce training that creates good jobs and meaningful careers. Community colleges are a ladder to the middle class. So count us in. Invest in us. We'll get the job done. Now, I could not be more pleased to introduce you to my partners in the education sector, Superintendent Mark Johnson, UNC System President Bill Roper, and North Carolina Independent Colleges and University President Hope Williams to share a few words.
Thank you. It is truly a privilege and an honor to serve as state superintendent and to be a part of this work. I also want to echo the thanks to all the commissioners who helped make this possible. Thank you to the Goodnight Foundation. Thank you to the John M. Belk Endowment. And thank you to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for helping fund this work. It's so vital. I travel this state to hear from educators and communities. And I can tell you, in my travels from Murphy to Manteo, I have heard the overwhelming need for this work. I have heard from students and parents and business leaders of the jobs that are out here in this economy that is doing so well that we need the skilled workforce to fill. We have those opportunities for our students. We just need to connect them. I've also heard the desire from educators to start talking to students about all career pathways, not just four-year degrees, but every pathway to success, whether it be a credential, the military, our community college. And I've also heard that we have the ingredients, and I've seen it for myself. We have all the ingredients. It's up to the leadership here to bake the cake and make this happen. I also want to share a personal story from one of my visits. I was in Davidson County. In Davidson County, they have a unique program where they catch those students who are most at risk of dropping out, and they bring them to a place where they can focus on personalized learning, set their personal path to success. And I was speaking to those students, and I looked out across a crowd of students who were just thinking they could barely get past high school. And if they just got past high school, they were going to be happy. They were in that leaky pipeline. And I told them that there are so many pathways to success. You need to know about a high-demand career, electric line worker. You need to know that right now power companies are scrambling to try to find electric line workers. You need to know that an electric line worker requires a high school diploma and then a 10-week training program at one of our community colleges. And after you go through that program, yes, it's hard work. Yes, it's outdoors. Yes, you're going to work long hours. But you can start off making $40,000 to $50,000 a year. You can then, in just a few years, double that. And I tell you, the look in the eyes of these students who had not heard that before, but now have heard a path that works for them, that is why we are doing this work. That is why I'm so honored to partner with our community leaders and our education leaders to be a part of this. I also want to say one more thing. We say 2 million students. I was so proud of this. I was sharing that with my family over Christmas break. Y'all, this is going to be a great announcement. North Carolina is really taking the lead on this. And my brother says, oh, well, where would you be in the order of states if you hit that? I said, oh, what would be the best? He says, well, why don't you just go out and say you want to be the best? I said, you know what, you're exactly right. And that's what we're going to do. We can be number one. When we achieve this by 2030, we can be number one. We can be the best state to learn. We have so much going for us. We have all the right ingredients. I am grateful for the leaders here to help put that together. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's an honor for me to join with the colleagues and with all of you in announcing this bold goal that has the potential, as Mark is just saying, to radically transform our educational opportunity for those we serve. I've been in the current job of about a month, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Randy, I've lost my Carolina blue ties and socks, but it's a delight to be on the NC State campus and to join with the other education leaders, especially Peter Hines. Peter and I have worked together quickly to put together a joint legislative agenda that we presented to our leaders that is about how the community college system and the UNC system can work more closely together to make sure we have the opportunities for students at all levels across our state to get the education that they need. This goal, which has the capability of charting a path for us to work together much more constructively than we have in the past to produce opportunities that will move our state forward, is a really exciting opportunity. It's something that we and the UNC system are very much committed to. And I too have a story. Yesterday I was in Cullowhee at Western Carolina University, seeing firsthand that school, that university, and the wonderful work it's doing with the NC Promise program. Senator Berger, thank you for your leadership, and Speaker Moore as well, for what you've enabled that university to do and the other two universities in the system. That's just a small part, though, of what can be done if all of us work together in a committed fashion. This goal will take us there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Roper, and thanks to all the commission members and all the staff and all the folks who helped make today possible by all of the hard work that has gone before us. Throughout the year, I hear from students and alumni who describe their college education as transformational. on their lives and on the lives of their families, both in the quality of life and in their career opportunities and earnings. There are 90,000 students attending our 36 independent colleges across North Carolina, and we award 1 in 4 bachelor's degrees and 1 in 3 graduate and professional degrees. So we have a major stake in the future of our state. 50% of our North Carolina undergraduate students are Pell eligible, which means that they are among the lowest income students. I mention this because while education is so important for every student, for these students and all the students, the 80% of our students who receive financial aid, a postsecondary credential or degree can mean the difference between poverty and economic security. Educational attainment is just as important for the future of our state. Last year, Forbes named North Carolina #1 in terms of best states for business. Having an educated workforce will be key to maintaining our economic growth and prosperity, as well as our climate and attraction as one of the best states for business, and all of us want that. That is one of the reasons independent colleges and universities across our state continue to expand and to establish new programs to meet the demand for more engineers with our new engineering programs, the need for more healthcare professionals with new or expanded health sciences programs in nursing, physical and occupational therapy, as well as in physician's assistance programs where we already award 92% of the degrees in this state. Our biggest obstacles to attainment are access and affordability, reaching more students to help them understand that college is possible and having the resources to help make that possible. There are many federal and state financial aid programs on our colleges across North Carolina, and we also provide significant institutional aid. All of us have to work together to help make this continue and to help it be strong for our students to make that access affordable. In addition to continuing to refine and add programs and to strengthening our retention programs, especially for our first-generation students, you heard earlier, only fewer than half of our adults have the kinds of credentials or degrees that we need to be and have a successful future. But because of that, we have a lot among all of our institutions, first-generation students, and they need additional support, which we're all working hard to provide. In addition to that, our sector is working very hard also with Peter. You're the popular guy today, I think, in that we have growing numbers of articulation agreements, some of which we'll be announcing next week and signing new agreements to help increase the number of pathways that our students can take. NCICU and our 36 independent colleges and universities across North Carolina are all committed to expanding these opportunities and continuing to work closely with our K-12, community college, and state university system colleagues, and with the business community and members of the General Assembly to continue to strengthen our collaboration and to help all of our citizens across the state as we work together to achieve this important attainment goal. Thank you.
You can see our educational sectors are united in support of this goal. I'm proud of that. Early childhood education is another key component of our hopes of achieving this goal. And I'm going to ask my friend Jim Hansen, the CEO of PNC Bank, to now join us. He is both a business leader and a passionate supporter of improving early childhood education. Jim.
Thank you very much, Peter, and I'm honored to be here today on behalf of business. You know, as a North Carolina native and a business leader, I understand the importance that the entire education continuum has in ensuring North Carolina has the talent and skills we need to stay competitive in our global economy. PNC has been a part of myFutureNC Commission's work through the beginning with my colleague Weston Andrus, who's our regional president in Charlotte. We and other business leaders have been part of the process. We're fully aware of the ambitious level of education attainment goal that is being announced here today. The work of the myFutureNC Commission recognizes the state's continuum begins with our youngest students, where the foundations of success are built. Early childhood education is too often forgotten in the discussions on the education continuum. But it should not be forgotten. or sidelined is an integral part of that continuum. And we know that when a child has high-quality early learning experiences, they enter kindergarten ready to learn, prepared to learn, and ready to thrive. When our early learning programs in the state are well aligned and coordinated with our K-12 system, we can build upon the skills and knowledge the children learn in each grade to enhance and strengthen their learning as they move through their education, from kindergarten to post-secondary pursuits. It is important that our youngest children and the students are taught well, but also they retain their learnings. And we must ensure we're laying the groundwork we need for the talent pipeline we must have. PNC brings a statewide perspective to this. We're invested across North Carolina in both rural and urban areas, and even right here in Talley Student Center, as you can see. We understand the importance of ensuring every child and every student has the ability to succeed in school and take advantage of all the opportunities this state has to offer as they move into adulthood and the workforce. We know this will take work, but it's work we must afford to do. Should we fail to strengthen our talent pipeline, the result can be devastating. If companies can't find the workforce in North Carolina that's necessary to fill the open and increasingly more sophisticated and technical jobs, those companies will move to states where the workforce can be found. And I'm proud to stand before you today and endorse this attainment goal and the hard work this steering committee has done for our great state. This goal requires us all to chart our progress through the entire education continuum, beginning at the early, most formative years all the way through to the advanced post-secondary degree. We're a mighty state of 100 counties with countless communities, neighborhoods across a diverse terrain, stretching from Manteo to Murphy, but we will not reach this attainment goal unless this goal and its mission, including the importance of early childhood education, is fully embraced in each and every corner of this state. Unless local leaders in education and business and the community find ways to challenge their own towns, cities, and counties to join in this important work, we will not be successful. So I appreciate everyone's effort as we move towards this goal in 2030. I now will pass it back to Dale to introduce our governor. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We really appreciate you being here today, and it's very important that the business community engage in a robust way to really make this happen. You know, leadership matters. It doesn't matter what organization you're with, what institution you're with, leadership makes a difference. And we're very fortunate in our state to have great leaders from a political perspective. You know, they share a passion for education. They share a passion to see North Carolina grow and prosper. They see North Carolinians wanting to reach their potential each and every day. That's their mission. They've given significant portions of their lives to serve others. And so today it's my pleasure to introduce 4 individuals who will come forth and talk about their support for the goal that you've seen today. So the first I want to call on is our governor, Roy Cooper. Roy has given 3 decades of his life to serving the public. He's a native of Nash County, Rocky Mount. His mother was an educator, so he's had a passion for education his entire career. So Governor, please come up and share your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Dale. I know it's the big Carolina-Duke game today, but Chancellor Woodson, I know where I am and I know how to dress, so you know. You're welcome. I want to thank Dale Jenkins and Peter Hans and Andrea Smith for chairing this commission, which is so important. I want to thank the Belk Endowment, the Gates Foundation, the SAS Educational Foundation for providing the funding for this important work. And I want to acknowledge leaders in education in this state, Dr. Roper, Hope Williams, Mark Johnson, Eric Davis, the chairman of the State Board of Education, all who are working hard. And Senator Berger and Speaker Moore, thank you for your attendance today, and Representative Fraley for the work that we're going to do together to achieve this goal. I have a mission for North Carolina, and it is simply this. I want a North Carolina where people are better educated, where they're healthier, where they have more money in their pockets, and they have opportunities to live more abundant and purposeful lives. I think this goal helps us to achieve that goal. I've said many times since I've become governor that I want us to become a top 10 educated state in North Carolina. Part of that goal is more students enrolled in pre-K. Part of that goal is more students graduating from high school. Part of that goal is making sure that over half of our population has post-secondary degree or credential that can help them get a job. And today I endorse another goal. This is a more specific goal, to make sure that we have 2 million North Carolina residents between the ages of 25 and 44 having post-secondary degrees or credentials by the year 2030. That is a specific and admirable goal that will help us all get where we want to get, because we have to strengthen our workforce. We're out recruiting jobs for our state, and we're doing a good job of it. We're bringing lots of them here. But that also means that these businesses need a skilled workforce. This workforce is changing rapidly with advancements in technology, and the kids who are graduating from high school now, over half the jobs that they'll have a chance to get haven't even been invented yet. So we know education is the key to getting this job done. I talk to CEOs on a daily basis. Almost every single one of them have jobs right now that are ready to fill. Mark and Peter talked about the construction, the linemen. These jobs are everywhere, and we've got to find a way to make sure that everyone has affordable access to education. It's great to have a goal, and this goal was difficult to come by because it required looking at a lot of data, making it realistic, providing a way to make sure that we can measure it. But it's going to be even harder to develop a strategy and make the investments that we need to actually get to that goal. Now, we've released an early childhood education plan. I would recommend it to all of you. It is critical that we make sure we pay attention to education from cradle to career, because that continuum is important. We may disagree sometimes about public education on issues of vouchers, on issues of grading schools, but one thing I think we all agree on, that a good teacher in every classroom and a good principal in every school gets us a long way toward making sure that we have good secondary education, K through 12 education. And we have to make sure we invest to get those people into those jobs and repair our educator pipeline, and make sure we get our teacher salaries to at least the national average in the next few years. We also have to make sure that education is affordable. I appreciate the NC promise. I've talked to people on those three campuses. They're seeing enrollment shooting up. I see students standing around in here. A lot of them are on the job right now. Many students struggle to pay for community college, for getting these credentials, for getting a university education. Many of them are borrowing to the hilt to try to do it, and when they get back out, they have a difficult time paying those loans off. Sometimes people are finding obstacles, financial obstacles in their way to keep them from getting the education that they need. I want to provide two strategies that I hope that we will consider to help us get to this goal. One, we've already begun to implement, but we need additional help. It's called Finish Line Grants. I was meeting with some faculty at Western Carolina, so Dr. Roper Culloway gets 2 shout-outs today. They talked to me about a student, a young woman, who was an excellent student, but she also was working like many people do as they go to college and universities. And she was going to Western and driving an hour back and forth. She was on the line, barely making it. She had one of those massive car repairs that many of us run into. And she went up to the admissions office or to the business office and said, I got to get my car fixed because I've got to go to work, and I can't pay for my final semester. I'll have to do it at another time. The faculty said, this young woman is going to be great at what she does. We can't let this happen. They took up a collection and paid for her tuition. I think they actually paid for the car repair so that she could pay for her tuition so that she could finish it out. This is the impetus for the Finish Line grants that we have now instituted in our community colleges. And I know President Hans and I have been across the state talking to students where these Finish Line grants have really mattered, because some people run into a medical expense or child care problem, and they're 75 to 80% through getting this credential that they need, but they can't afford to get it. So the Finish Line grants help them make sure we get these degrees and these credentials into their hands. The second proposal is NC Grow, which is called the Getting Ready for Opportunities in the Workforce. We hear over and over and over again from the business community about jobs that are open, and they're trying to get people with the training and education to take these jobs. I believe that providing tuition-free community college in high-demand fields like technology and construction and advanced manufacturing and healthcare can help us attain this goal as fast as we possibly can. Making sure that that training is available. People do struggle to pay for their education, and if we can provide tuition-free education for these degrees and credentials for people in these high-demand fields, then we will also drive people into those fields and respond to our business community in a way we need to do. Now, we need, in order to be able to make these investments that I've talked about, we need to protect our tax base, and we need to work with businesses to make sure we're providing the kind of education and training that they need, and we need to step up and work together to make sure we get this done. I endorse this goal. I'm going to ask the Education Cabinet to endorse this goal, and the Education Cabinet has been meeting. It includes the president of the community college, the president of the independent colleges, the president of our university system, the superintendent of public instruction, the chairman of the State Board of Education, the secretary of commerce, and the secretary of health and human services, all of the leaders in the agencies that we need to move things forward. I'm going to ask them to endorse this goal as well. I pledge to work with you to make this happen. And together we can. We can make a North Carolina that works for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. Those were powerful words, and we really appreciate, again, you being here and the support you're offering to the goal that we've established. Our next speaker is Senator Phil Berger. Phil is the President Pro Tem of the Senate. He's from Eden, North Carolina. He's a first-generation college graduate, and he brings a passion for education as well. He's going to share a little bit about his thoughts with us. So Phil, as you make your way to the stage, please come forward. You know, Phil has been an advocate for education during his time in the Senate. He put together a signature program called Read to Achieve, and we're grateful for the work that he's done over the last several years in the field of education. So Phil, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dale, and I want to thank the myFutureNC Commission for the opportunity to speak today. Good morning. This is important work, and it's important work that has provided us with a goal that hopefully we will not only work towards, but be able to achieve in record time. We all know that having a well-trained workforce is vital to the continued economic success of our state. The fact is, business in North Carolina is booming. Forbes magazine, as has been already mentioned, has ranked our state as the best state for business for the second year in a row. And a large part of the reason for that is because of our strong education system that provides businesses with a talented labor pool. We know also that in a merit-based society where ideally success is measured by your actions and achievements and not by the circumstances of your birth or whether you come from a background of wealth, education truly is the great equalizer. We believe everyone is entitled to make his or her own success. We don't all start from the same place, but the opportunity to create your own success should not be contingent on the circumstances of your birth, your parents' income, or the zip code in which you grew up. That was a motivating factor in creating the NC Promise program. The cost of a college education puts that education out of reach for some. That's why NC Promise offers $500 per semester tuition at 3 of our public universities. In addition, for public universities that are not part of the NC Promise program, in-state students are guaranteed a fixed tuition for 8 consecutive semesters. But a 4-year university isn't for everyone, and that's why our strong community college system is so important to us. In 2015, we created a program to help students get the most out of our state's excellent community colleges. The program places community college advisors in high schools to assist students with their career goals and identifying community college programs that will help them achieve those goals. I'm proud of what we've done to make a post-secondary education in North Carolina a reality for more of our citizens. And I look forward to working with the Commission and other stakeholders on the goal to have 2 million of our 25 to 44-year-olds with a post-secondary credential by 2030. Reaching that goal will help ensure that North Carolina continues to have one of the best educated and well-trained workforces in the nation and continues to make North Carolina the best place in America to live, to work, and to raise a family. I want to thank you again for allowing me to be here today.
So next, we're going to hear from the Speaker of the House. That's Representative Tim Moore. Tim is a native of Kings Mountain, Cleveland County, sort of up where I grew up. He's been a fearless leader in the House. He's a passionate person about education as well. He's served on the Board of Governors for the UNC system. He's also been a champion about facilities, particularly making sure that our schools are up to date, they're technologically advanced, and they're the types of facilities that are conducive to learning. So Tim, come on up, please.
Thing called Fearless and Passionate. That's a great start to the morning. Dale, can you follow me around to the rest of the day? Well, good morning. It's an honor to be with you today, and it's really an honor to see the great work that this commission did. Mrs. Goodnight, really appreciate what you and your family have done in this effort as well as the Belks. This is absolutely incredible. This goal is something that I wholeheartedly endorse as well. And I can tell you when it comes to college, I'm here on a great college campus, pulling for the Wolfpack tonight, by the way, so as well as another team in North Carolina that's playing tonight as well. And I'm the father of a freshman at Appalachian State, so I'm one of those parents who's also sending money to the university every semester to get a great education, and it makes me grateful, particularly when I talk to parents whose kids are not going to one of the institutions in our state, who are going out of state or elsewhere, and realizing just the great benefit that we have being here. I can tell you this is an inspiring morning to hear this goal. It's a great goal. And it's key to our state's continued economic growth. Something that I was in a meeting last week with a number of generals, And one of the things that one of the generals made a point about was that education, you hear education talked about in a number of contexts, but you never hear it talked about in the context of national defense. But it's critical. Having a good educated workforce, the brains, the folks developing the technology of the future is critical, not only to our economic vitality, but to our national defense, to the growth and the prosperity of the state and to the country. And so these are all goals. This goal that's been put forth is going to be critical for that as well. I can tell you that the work that was done is going to pay dividends. This goal can be reached. This is something that can be handled in a bipartisan manner across the aisle in every aspect, through the private sector, through the public sector to get us there. Our mission in North Carolina is to create opportunity for our students to succeed. I think, Senator Berger, your remarks are perfect. Not everybody starts in the same place, and it's not a cookie cutter system. And it's something that's designed to be tailored to help our students get where they need to be. The community colleges are critical. And mentioned the lineman program. We're doing very well with that back home in Cleveland County. These are great jobs and opportunities that are availing themselves to the folks who are in college now. Not only to those who are graduating high school and going forward, but as mentioned in the slide, those who have gone into other jobs and now are going back to continue their education, where they've seen the economy change. Dale, you hit the nail on the head. For example, in Rutherford County, the number of textile mills that left. Well, the great thing about counties like Rutherford County and my home county is a lot of those folks who used to work in textile mills now have great jobs in either the service sector or in other forms of manufacturing that have come along. Manufacturing of products that years ago, 30, 40 years ago, no one was talking about. One example, solar panels. 40 years ago, there was not mass production of solar panels and brackets. Well, that's a big industry now. Manufacturing of some of the high-tech jobs. It was also said this morning that about 50% of the jobs that are going to be in the future are not even known today. There's technologies. And if you think about it, you look at your iPhone or your whatever device you carry around on a daily basis that 30, 40 years ago, no one had. Peter, when we were in college, there was no cell phone. You had the pay phone. That was about it. And when Kevin was in college, they were still using the abacus. So, I don't know. It's things have changed a little bit. But this is exciting. To have the opportunity to see this partnership, the collaboration that went through with this is something that's critical. So my commitment is number one, I'm glad to be here to speak, but the real proof of this is what we do as leaders in the public sector, education community, and in the business community to make this a reality. So please know I'm in your corner. I'm going to do what I can to help, and we'll really appreciate the opportunity to be here and really appreciate the hard work that's been put in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Speaker Moore. You hit the nail on the head. Plans are worth about $1. Execution can be worth a lot. So our challenge is as we go forward. I'm always impressed with people who will give their time to become a public servant. They run for office, they go through the campaign season, they have to raise money. Once they're elected, then they are thrown into committees and they become busy. They give a lot of their time away from their families to educate themselves on the issues of the day. And I'm proud to call up our last speaker, John Fraley. John is a representative from the 95th District just outside Charlotte. And John has been someone that has been so impressive to me because he's been to so many of our commission meetings. He's been so engaged in learning about the education opportunities in North Carolina. So John, thank you for what you've done. Please come up and share some thoughts with us.
Good morning. I'm honored to be here and to be a part of the myFutureNC Commission initiative. More importantly, I would like to take a moment to reiterate the importance and commend the remarks of Governor Cooper, President Pro Tem Berger, and Speaker Moore. Thank you for being here, and more than that, thank you for your support. As a retired business executive, a member of this commission, and chair of various House Education and Appropriations committees, I'm keenly aware that the long-term success of North Carolina depends on a healthy and educated workforce. I would contend we've been fortunate to be able to meet many of North Carolina's workforce needs to date. However, as has been said earlier today, there are currently too many jobs going unfilled due to a lack of qualified candidates. This raises the questions: are we already falling behind, and is it smart to continue to educate as we are doing today? As you've heard earlier, a little less than half of our 25 to 44-year-olds in the workforce have some form of post-secondary certificate or degree, while we need to have about 65, 66% of those people. Closing this gap is what myFutureNC is all about. So where do we go from here? The first step is to understand this will be a North Carolina education plan, requiring all of us to collaborate. We must put aside personal agendas, egos, political parties, and anything else that would get in the way of developing a plan or plans to close this gap by 2030. Doing this is just a matter of making up our mind to do so. The next step is two-pronged and will require everyone to roll up their sleeves. First, the commission members will need to fan out across North Carolina to inform and sell this endeavor to our communities and their leaders. It's important for them to understand this is a state plan, know why it's necessary, and why their support and input is critical. Secondly, the legislators, legislative staff, and select members of the commission are going to have to take a very deep dive into education funding to see if we are spending the taxpayers' money the best possible way for the future outcomes required. Are we getting the best bang possible for the $13 billion we are currently spending on education? Are the programs in place doing the job, or are they duplicating each other? Are the programs properly aligned for the best outcomes throughout the education continuum? This is going to be detailed, time-consuming work. But it's important to understand it's not asking for money, it's not taking any money away. It's simply to analyze and recommend the best continuum possible to meet the goal of having 2/3 of our workforce with a post-secondary certificate or degree by 2030. I stand before you today as one willing to tackle this bold agenda. I'm committed to working with Governor Cooper and his staff, with President Pro Tem Berger and Speaker Moore and their staff, and the myFutureNC Commission to get this work done and to make this vision come to life. If we all do this together, we can ensure North Carolina remains a state invested in training our children and ensuring our businesses have the qualified workers they need in order to secure our long-term success. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Representative Fraley. Thank you for those wonderful remarks. So I hope that each of you here this morning, that you recognize that this is more than a call to action. It's a wake-up call for every North Carolinian. My friends, it's an economic imperative that we educate and upskill talent all across North Carolina. We hear the urgent call from businesses. We hear the urgent call from industry, from government officials. If we don't take action, our state and our people will simply be left behind. It's going to require a heavy lift. It's going to require lots of effort, but I believe we are the exact place at the right time to make this happen. This initiative's got to have leadership at all levels, state, local, but we, I think, are committed to make it happen regardless of the obstacles that we face. So I want to challenge you just a minute. Every person here today, I want you to heed the call. I want you to think about what you can bring to the table. I'm simply asking that each of you not be a spectator, but you get on the field and play. And I want to leave you with three thoughts, three things that I hope you will follow as you think about education over the next several months. Number one, I want you to be paranoid, okay? I want you to be paranoid about education. I want you to think we're not the best. There is room for improvement. I want you to adopt a restless attitude, an attitude that says, what are we missing? What are other people doing that we're not doing? So I want you to be paranoid. I want you to be restless. Number two is I want you to be disruptive. I want you to be willing to think differently than we've ever thought before. Every business that I know of has gone through a period of disruption if they're successful today. If we're going to be successful in education, we've got to adopt that same type of attitude. We've got to have a disruptive mentality that says the way we did it in the past may not be the best way to do it as we go forward. And then the final thing is I'm going to ask you to engage. I'm going to ask you to get out of the comfort perhaps of your offices, go visit with educators, go meet with people of influence, go make a difference in your communities. Yesterday I did that. I called my local principal, Dana King at Millbrook High School, and I said, Dana, where can I plug in and help you? I'm committing my company to go help Millbrook High School as we move to the future. So we've got a lot of work to do. We know that, again, plans are worth, a fraction of what the execution is worth. We've got a lot of lifting to do. As John said, we're going to be all fanning across North Carolina, spreading the word over the next 12 months. We're going to engage lots of different people to help us with this cause. We know we also have got to stand up some infrastructure because we don't want this to be a flash in the pan day. We want this to be a sustainable effort that produces results for the long term. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. Thank you for what you do for North Carolina. Let's make this happen. Let's make 2030 a reality. 25 to 44-year-old people, 2 million of them, that have a high-quality degree or secondary, post-secondary education credential. So thanks for being here. Have a wonderful day.